Good afternoon, Thunder Bay CLCers. It's great to be back again with you. I hope this video turns out as well as the last one. It's the third try tonight. I've been trying different things. Anyway, good afternoon. So this morning we prayed over, as we remembered and gave thanks, our personal and local group experience of our CLC story. I hope the sharing of these stories at our plenary, your plenary, showed us more how deep is the gratitude in our hearts, the thanksgiving in our hearts to God for all these gifts He's given us. Let me quote from the Psalms again. I will call to mind the deeds of the Lord. I will remember your wonders of old. And I will meditate on all your work and muse on your mighty deeds. That's from Psalm 77, verses 11 to 12. And again, we give thanks to you, O God, we give thanks. Your name is near. People tell of your wondrous deeds. That's from Psalm 75, verse 1. This afternoon, I want to invite you to open our horizons and try to remember what God has done for us as CLC regionally, nationally, and internationally, globally. Again, to be thankful as we remember the gifts we've received. Be grateful to the source of all these gifts. Let's remember that this year's World Day of Prayer, which is on March 25th, is around this theme of remembering and being thankful for all the gifts that God has given in the CLC, but in particular for the 50 years of the approval of the general principles and the new name, Christian Life Community. That was in 1967. Prairie Region is part of this wider story. Some of you who are more recent CLC members are learning bit by bit, and even those who've been around keep learning the whole the wonderful story of CLC in the Prairie Region and of our relationship to the national as well as the international dimensions of CLC. For example, one comes to me, some of you will remember 1999. I wasn't here at the time, but some of you were, when Prairie Region became officially a region, and along with the Rockies region of the whole national CLC Canada. And soon after that time, Koinonia and Diaconia groups began, and on, different groups, Metanoia, and Friends of Jesus. All those years were exciting years of growth for the Prairie Region. Even in the midst of, in 2005, remembering the passing to eternal life of John English, who was the pioneer with lay couples of CLC in Canada, and who lived his final years in Winnipeg. What a deep sense of gratitude, I'm sure, is in the hearts of those who experienced that when he began in the prairies and in other regions of Canada as well, in bringing the spiritual exercises and the CLC to life in the Prairie Region. This ministry was continued, of course, with Earl Smith as the national EA. I remembered my own arrival as the national EA in Winnipeg in 2006. I remember it with great gratitude because the welcome and the hospitality that I received from those who were here touched me deeply. I had fears and anxieties in beginning in a new region and being the national EA, but that quickly turned to thankfulness and gratitude to be a part of such a vibrant group of people, lay people, eager to live the gospel in the Ignatian tradition with the Ignatian gifts. Another moment that came to me as I reflected was the visit of Father Alberto Brito, Jesuit, who was the world vice ecclesial assistant at that time. In 2007 he came. And that was a moment that those of us who were there remember, I'm sure, with gratitude. It was, we gathered in the living room of Steve and Ruth's place. It was as if the whole world came into the living room, because he just brought a sense of CLC as a worldwide association. It was a wonderful experience to give thanks for. Another moment came to me is an important stage of our growth in Prairie Region was in 2010, when our reconnection with Thunder Bay took place after a few attempts, where Sharon Baker was part of that. And now we know how much this part of Prairie Region, can't think of it without Prairie Region without Thunder Bay, has grown in numbers and in its ministry, and has given so much to the CLC vision and way of life in the Prairie Region. I remember some of them even came down to Winnipeg in the middle of winter by bus to be with us on one of our formation weekends. And we did a number of Skypes with them for our formation. Now we're doing this kind of videoing, but we miss them in our presence. We'll have to do that again. But how can we not be grateful for such faith and such dedication? Let's give thanks as well as we remember the number of formation evenings and formation retreat days that we've had in this region over the past number of years. And all of those have strengthened us in our commitment to the CLC way of life. Speaking of commitment, how many of the Prairie Region have made temporary and permanent commitment to the CLC way of life? Amazing, wonderful, much to be grateful for. And we celebrate that every year in Winnipeg and in Thunder Bay. The national dimension of CLC has always been with us, as well over these years. The leadership formation group that came, Gilles Michaud and Lois Campbell, bringing the national concerns to our region. And then Mary Belf, when she was president of the national president, she came out and shared our Prairie story. We now have Ruth Chipman on the National Working Group to reflect on our national structures. We've had delegates from the Prairie Region at all our national assemblies since we became a region in 1999. And I don't want to forget the National Assembly we had in 2013 and the mission statement that we came up with that we use at all our meetings. A wonderful moment of a sense of a region working, collaborating together on this with this CLC vision of life. So we're really a vibrant region in the midst of the whole national scenario. The international dimension has not been absent either. Both Ruth Chipman and myself were delegates at the last two World Assemblies, one in Fatima and one in Lebanon. That would be a whole long story to tell, a wonderful story. I'm grateful, and I'm sure Ruth would say the same thing, for the gift of being able to meet fellow CLCers from around the world. My wish would be that every CLC person would have this experience of a World Assembly, to experience God at work in such marvelous ways in diverse conditions and situations throughout the world. So I could go on and on, but I hope this will give you a taste to reflect in your prayer from your own experience on the giftedness of the Prairie Region of the national and the international dimensions of the CLC story. Our story, the history of CLC, continues in each one of us and together. So this afternoon, once again, I invite you to take a short passage from one of the Psalms, use the same one as this morning if you wish, as a springboard for asking God to help you to remember and to give thanks for the moments, the highlights, the gifts, the graces that you sense you received through the regional or the national and even the sense of the international dimension of the CLC. Savor, mull, just sit with those highlights that come to you of the gracious history and give thanks, joyful thanks. This is what will move us to greater service in the mission of Christ. So have a good afternoon and a good end to your day. God bless.